Okay, if there's anybody that has a vested interest in these NBA playoffs, is this guy I have right here in front of me. Uh, Jay Wright's right hand man in Villanova, Mike Nardi. How are you doing?
Doing great, Ron. How's everything going, man?
Well, I mean, how you feel about the Knicks? Let me get to Minnesota too. How you feel about the Knicks and all your former players going to the conference finals?
I mean, they're doing their thing, man. They're competing at the highest level. They're setting the tone for the city, and they're the ultimate competitors. They want to win. They want to bring a championship home, for the Knicks organization.
Okay, before I get into each player one by one, they are in the NBA playoffs. They're the New York Knicks, but they're saying this the Villanova way playing here in New York right now. What is the Villanova way?
I think it's playing hard, it's playing together, and ultimately doing whatever it takes to win. And sometimes that's Jalen Brunson going out and getting 40. That's sometimes Jalen Brunson going out and getting 20 and 10 assists. He's willing to do whatever it takes, whatever the game is asking of him in order to win. And that's the same for, Josh and Mikal. Those guys make winning plays. They step up in big moments. And ultimately they all just want to win. And I think, it's infectious. It's, as we all can see, it's changed the way, the Knicks have been playing for the past few years. It starts with those guys, and they're just, three guys that have been together for a long period of time. Obviously dating back to Villanova, and they know each other really well. And those are just their core values as people, and especially on the court.
Okay, break down this matchup with Indiana. Now, Indiana has a guy, your former coach Kevin Boyle, a Nimhard, who played with him at Mount Verde. He's kind of like a Villanova kind of guy. They're very tough. Break this matchup down with Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they got great guard play, with Halliburton and like you said, Hart, and they got some guys coming in off the bench that they're tough. They compete. I think it's going to come down to who can really defend, rebound at the highest level, stop the other team, and then on offense, who can take care of the ball, beat the other team up on the glass, and I think, as we all know, who can make some shots. At this time of the year, it's not going to come down to fancy offense or a ton of execution, as we've seen. Each team they're just gonna compete. It's gonna come down to one-on-one matchups and getting mismatches. So, I like our boys in this series. I think they've been well prepared, and they've been
Mm.
grinding throughout this playoff. So I think they're ready for it.
Okay, before I get into Minnesota and DiVincenzo, I watched the Boston Celtics series. Congratulations to the Knicks winning. Pritchard reminded me of you playing. I don't know if you saw that. He was kind of like a Mike Nardi kind of player when I saw Pritchard on the floor with the Celtics.
Yeah, he's again, I think we all, can see that he's a great player. He's a hard worker. He was a guy that before I came back at Villanova that we recruited, and I think he had came on a visit. And him and Jalen and Dante were getting after it. But he's a throwback. He's a guy that's extremely intelligent, but he's got some boogie to his game. He can make deep
Oh
shots. He can
yeah.
he can get it off the bounce. He's crafty with the ball, and he's got a really really high Q. And he brings a lot to the Celtics.
Now DiVincenzo on Minnesota, and they have a chance to advance. They play a very tough OKC team, and it could be the Villanova players. And that commercial with those players are kind of ironic, man. If that's the NBA Finals, that'd be something else. But tell me about him as a player.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dante is the guy that has kind of always bet on himself. He's come into the league. He helped lead us to a national championship in 18, and he went off, against Michigan in that game for 31. And he had to grind he had to grind his himself into getting drafted, and really um going into the combine and competing and showing people that he belonged. So his path, it's been interesting. He's been banged up a little bit. And then he went to the Warriors, and again he bet on himself, and he played with those guys and he did a great job. And now being in Minnesota, I think you can just see, how much of a leader he's become for them, and a guy that can run the team, a guy that can pick his spots,
Mm-hmm.
plays hard, he can guard the other team's best player, and he's got great size at the point guard spot, and he can play on and off the ball. So again, just like our guys on the Knicks, he's very versatile, can do a lot of things, but ultimately comes down to he wants to win. And the commercial, man, whoever came up with that,
Oh my
they got some
goodness.
they got some talent, man. They hit it right
Yes.
on the head with that, and that thing has been running, nonstop. So shout out to whoever did that. That's a big time thing.
Now, I'm gonna go one by one. Brunson.
Yep.
Um, how did the recruiting process go with Brunson to Villanova?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I wasn't really around when that was beginning to happen. I was still playing overseas, and then I had came back pretty much after Jalen had committed, because my first season was 15-16.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounded like, well, he was best point guard in the country,
Yeah.
right? And a highly touted guy that everybody wanted. And his dad Rick played at Temple, and I think they were ultimately in the league. And then he ended up making a decision to come to Villanova. And honestly, it changed our program. And the things that he brought, just his talent, his energy, his enthusiasm to win, and his work ethic. You know,
Mm.
he his work ethic was second to none. He was in the gym all the time and working out with his dad at night after practice, getting shots up. And he taught other guys what it meant to be a pro, and
Hmm.
and really what that looked like. And he changed our program success, for the better.
Now, he, I call him Heathcliff, that cartoon character that's a cat that thinks he's a dog, because
Yeah,
he's a smallish guy, but he's got a pit bull in him, and he fears no situation. He likes
yeah,
it. If it's game 7 on the road, game 6 on the road, he he has the ball, whether he's passing or shooting. He's extremely comfortable in pressure situations.
yeah. He's the guy. He wants to be the guy. And again, sometimes it's him making a shot. Sometimes it's him taking a charge. In big moments. Sometimes he has to get other people involved, but ultimately, he's always been comfortable in that spot. Ever since he was playing the game. That's the way he was taught by his dad, and he just thrives in those moments. And I think the best thing about Jay is he has a chip on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
He's always had that, and no matter how successful he's been, he always wants to continue to prove himself, to himself and his teammates. I think that's what's most important to him. And it doesn't really matter what the outside noise is saying. Deep down, he wants to win, and he wants to be the guy that gets to make that choice at the end of the game.
Now, Jason Hart, there's Robert Horry, Michael Cooper, Shane Battier. There's always that guy you need when you're trying to win a championship that does anything as a role player. He's that type of guy. Now, were you part of the recruiting process at Villanova? Well, no, he came before because he was a sophomore. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
describe him at Villanova.
yeah. I mean, I was there with Josh for 3 years, and ultimate competitor, and physical and nasty. He just has a knack for the ball. The stories I heard about him coming in, from Sidwell friends, was he played every position.
Mm-hmm.
He played the five, he played the point for him, he made shots, he defended, and that just translated. it was the perfect fit, with Villanova basketball. And he came in and he filled, that void for us early in his career. And then as a sophomore, blew up, had a great year, led the Big East in 3-point percentage. His
Hmm.
junior year, we go to win a national championship. Um, and then his senior year, we're the number one team all year in the country, led by him. So, again, another dude that just can get it wherever, he makes plays with the ball, without the ball. Um, and again, I know it sounds like a common theme, but he has the will to win,
Yep.
and he just gets things done in moments where, you don't expect it. He comes flying in for an offensive rebound, or he gets the winning rebound at the end of the game to close it out. And those guys are valuable when you want to, win games in the playoffs or go and win championships.
Now, Mikal Bridges, does he have to have? I did my research. Does he have to have Chipotle every game or every week?
I mean, whatever he's having, he's got to continue to do that.
Okay.
I know Chipotle is his thing, and he's a journeyman. I mean, as we all know,
Hmm.
the dude never missed any games. He's still going with the streak, and he's just a guy that you can depend on night in, night out. He's going to know the scouting report. He's going to be aggressive on offense and, make shots and difficult ones, and he's going to get to his spots defensively. I mean, he's long, he's athletic. He just creates havoc. He gets 50-50 balls, he blocks shots. There's a play at Villanova. We were playing Gonzaga at the Garden. He comes
Hmm.
down the lane and he punches it, from the dotted line, and then he sprints back and he punches a shot into the stands. And that just kind of, you know, really just explains Mikel's game and sums it up. He's a two-way player.
You know, he was super comfortable at Phoenix, made that great run. He was a big part of that with Chris Paul. He was trying to find himself playing well this year. Game 1 and 2 in Boston, it seemed like he had that symmetry with everybody in the Knicks. And this is Mikal Bridges that everybody knew, just shutting the defender down with long arms, hitting big shots. When they had a guard on him, he'd take that sweet mid-range little shot, which is really important for the Knicks. He's really locked in right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and he's important. He's very important for them. They got a team that can share the ball, and a lot of guys can make plays and score, but you got to have that 1, 2, 3 punch, I think, in order to really propel and be a great team. And again, he's been producing for them throughout these playoffs, and I think he's got to have a big series against Indiana in order for the Knicks to pull it off.
Now, between these four players, who have you contacted, talked to recently just to congratulate them, conversate with them? Who have you talked to?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I try not to bother these guys too much, man. And they're focused, they're locked in.
Mm-hmm.
I always text and just try and congratulate these guys whenever the time is right. And I know they got a lot going on, so just trying to. I want all of them to know that I'm supporting them, and Villanova supporting them, and we want all of them to win, and be successful, and they have represented the program at the highest fashion. So we're extremely proud of them.
Now, where are you at in your career as far as coaching? Because I don't know the Villanova situation really like I should.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We had an amazing run at Villanova. I was there
Oh yeah.
for 10 seasons. I had a chance to learn under Coach Wright when I came back in 15, 16. And then, we won 2 national championships, went to 3 Final Fours, ton of Big East and Big East regular season championships, um, a lot of success. And then, Coach retired in 2022. We went to the Final Four with, Colin Gillespie and Mules, Eric Dickman, Brandon Slater, a bunch of guys, Caleb Daniels, bunch of guys that We're in the program for a long time, did a lot of great things. And then, I was on staff with Kyle for on the 2023 season and spent 3 seasons under him. And shout out to Kyle for keeping me on staff, giving me a lot of responsibility, allowing me to really grow as a coach, and be a part of the tradition at Villanova. And
Wherever you go,
things.
yeah, wherever you go as a coach, you're taking the Villanova way with you, which is awesome. And that's such great experience. And also, Villanova won different ways. The Cinderella run, beating Carolina, and then the most dominant run I've ever seen, where you just smashed everybody with no struggle. Usually a team has a struggle once in a while. You just blew everybody out that year.
Yeah, yeah. And, again, like we had a great run and the tradition at Villanova will always be there. The culture, the former guys, former players and coaches will always stay connected, and then Coach Willard came in and, I wasn't retained. So I ended up hooking on with Coach Hurley, at UConn. So I'm a Husky now.
Oh, you're
Uh,
Husky?
I'm
Oh,
a Husky
yes, I
now.
love Hurley.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, again, a great opportunity for myself just to learn under, I think the best coach in college basketball.
Oh, yes.
Uh, Great staff, Kamani Young, Luke Murray. Both of those guys were there for back-to-back national championships. Coach Tom Moore, who actually recruited me way back in the day at Connecticut and is still there. He's been a part of, 4 national championships. So again, a program that has the will to win, a coach that's passionate, and a culture that just produces, high level basketball players, and has a great tradition. And I'm just trying to add to that, bring value, and get back to the promised land.
Another Final Four this year with your incoming recruits and guys you got back. Another Final Four. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I mean, we got a great team. These guys put together an awesome squad. Getting a bunch of guys to come back was the key. It's with Alex Caravan and Solo Ball, Taris Reed, Jalen Stewart, Jaden Ross, just, guys that have been in the program and they won at the highest level. They know what it takes. And then bringing in a couple transfers, a couple freshmen that, we're really going to be depending on heavily. And then again, having a chip on our shoulder to get back and,
Mm-hmm.
and try and get to that Final Four national championship game.
You almost beat Florida. That should tell me all you need to know how good you are. Finally, before I let you go, you had one of the greatest senior year runs in high school I've ever seen, where you just put it on everybody. And the St. Pat's completely dominated that year. I wanted to just let everybody know how good you were. Your junior year, you had an ankle injury and you destroyed my Elizabeth Minutemen, even though they won that county tournament, and you put it
Yeah.
on them. And then the state championship, you won the TLC your senior year, had a great team. That run was amazing. So I wanted to make sure everybody knew that you were a heck of a player too.
I appreciate that. I mean, back in the day, just growing up in New Jersey and all the former great players that came, before me and watching Shaheen Holloway play and Al Harrington and going against DeJuan Wagner
Mm,
and just again, night in, night out. You knew it was going to be a battle. So yeah, I had a chance to play for an amazing high school coach and Kevin Boyle at St. Pat's,
yes.
who was at Montverde for a long time and now he's going on Aspire,
Yep.
who really taught me everything I knew about the game at that level. And till this day is continuing to help me in the coaching business and recruiting world. So, I was very fortunate to have a lot of support and a lot of people who believed in me, especially yourself. So
Oh yes.
appreciate you bringing me on
I
and
am. I am
uh,
into. Even though
shout
Georgetown's
out
my
to
number
you.
one team, I am into UConn now. I'm going to be.
Let's,
I'm going to be talking with you during the season now.
let's go, man. Let's go. Let's go
Let's
Huskies.
go. It's not like the Big East, man.
Nah, there's not. There's not. It's the best league and top to bottom. You're battling somebody every night. Great players, great coaches, and great environments. So we're excited for this year, man. We hope to get it done and look forward to connecting with you.
Good for you. Thank you very much. It was a terrific job.